What do you need from President Biden when he shows up in January?
Tom, good to be with you. Good to be with you all. We need it before January. I echo yours and John's comments. I can't say enough good things about Speaker Pelosi. I think Steve Mnuchin's a reasonable guy and a smart guy and interlocutor. We need a deal. We need a deal before January, and that has to include state aid. Obviously, extending unemployment, help for small businesses, all the needs that we know about. But we need a big jolt of state aid. I think if it becomes President Biden, and that's where my money is, that's where my support is, I would suspect we'll still need more of that. My guess is whatever deal we get may not fit the bill, and big investments, not just talk in infrastructure, things like the Gateway Project, which you guys know well, which is the most important infrastructure project sitting there to be done in the United States.
Phil Murphy, you grew up in Needham, Massachusetts, where you learned the marginal value of a Red Sox victory. You went to Harvard and did economics, where you learned the marginal dynamics of economics. You're dealing now with the biggest marginal problem in the country. The millionaires are going to leave, added up, 10.7% above $1 million. You've got the 2.44% property tax, and you've got a lovely sales tax as well. There's no incentive. What are you going to do? What are you going to say to the millionaires that watch Lisa Abramowicz every morning?
Tom, you'll appreciate it. I don't see it that way. I haven't been holding my breath on the marginal value of any Red Sox wins this year, given the season they had. Listen, we were successful in asking the wealthiest in our state, the biggest corporations, to pay a few more pennies on their top dollar to help us continue a historic reinvestment in our middle class. That's good for everybody. The thing that chokes people in New Jersey, the folks that we lose, are the retirees who have a home, whose kids have graduated from our #1 school system in America, by the way, is property taxes. So that's why our budget has a huge dose of direct property tax relief. New Jersey is the state to raise a family. We want to keep it that way. We're also a quintessential middle-class state, and asking the wealthiest among us to help us make those investments is good for the middle class.
Come on, Governor, the movers, Governor.
It's good for them.
The movers are moving out. They're not moving to Massachusetts. They're not moving to Connecticut. They're moving to the 9 states with no sales tax. What are you going to do to turn United Van Lines and the rest of them to turn those moving vans around?
Tom, it's very simple. To give more of what they've got right now, the best state in America to raise a family. If you've got kids who are school age, if you're working, if you care about health care, we have the #1 health care system in America, quality of life, location. If you care about talent for your business, there's no better state in America. You get what you pay for in New Jersey.
Governor David Tepper left back in 2015. You'll remember the headlines. Is he coming home? Can you confirm that?
I've heard that. I have not spoken to him personally, but I have heard the same, John, as you have heard, and we welcome him back. Actually, our number of millionaires over the past number of years is growing, not shrinking, notwithstanding the noise around moving vans. Our state is actually growing, including among the wealthiest.
Where else will you be able to raise taxes? We've heard again and again about the prospect of doing something around cannabis. Is that just the low-hanging fruits for you now, Governor?
John, it's on the ballot on November 3rd as a referendum item. I wish we could have gotten it done through a legislative process. We couldn't find the last few votes, so it's on the referendum. I'm strongly supporting it. First and foremost, for social justice reasons. Low-end drug crimes are the biggest reason by far that we have young persons of color, especially young men of color, in our criminal justice system. But to your point, beyond that, this is a potential significant over time revenue item for the state and a job and a source of job growth, which are also positives. I hope we'll see it pass in November.
Just quickly here on the tax on electronic trading, are you going ahead with that?
Hey, Lisa, we're exploring it, taking it seriously. We did not score it in the budget because there's too much uncertainty around it. It's something that we're taking very seriously and studying very seriously.
In the meantime, the virus is continuing to spread, and we're seeing some worsening numbers in New Jersey. What is the threshold at which you will shut down in-person schooling and go back to all remote?
Yeah, so Lisa, one of the blessings we have in New Jersey is we've got hundreds of school districts. So we reviewed each and every one of their plans when we shut in March, and each and every one of them when we reopened in September. So that will overwhelmingly be a local specific decision, and that's what's actually playing out. The back to school for us so far has been very successful. We've had only 11 outbreaks in school buildings out of over 3,000, touching 43 kids and educators. We take every one of those seriously, believe me, but that's well within any expectation. I hope we never get back to the point we were in March, Lisa, where we had to make a statewide move to shut everything down. Please, God.
Governor, one final question, if I could, and it is a question of delicacy within this pandemic as you've confronted it and Governor Cuomo confronted it early on. We now have a touch point of a new pandemic that crosses over to religion, where you need to work with these zones, these small communities, in this case with Orthodox Judaism. How are you going to dovetail your pandemic response with the need for religious freedom? How do you do that? How do you execute that in the coming days in Lakewood, New Jersey?
Yeah, Tom, I think we've been able to do that from the get-go. We clearly had a period beginning in mid-March where we had to shut everything down. And when we did that, we were in close contact with the leadership across the whole spectrum of religions, including the leadership in Lakewood. And as we've been able to reopen and get back to worshiping first outside and now inside, it's been done under strict limits, capacity limits, face masks, social distancing, all the stuff that we all know. We've been in very close contact with the leadership in the community, as you can imagine, over the past couple of weeks. I'm actually going to be in Ocean County tomorrow, where Lakewood sits, and I can't say enough good things about the cooperation of the elected leaders and faith leaders there. But we are having an issue with the transmission from that cooperation down to the man on the street. And we got to nip it, and we got to be aggressive about it.
I'm not going to mince words, Governor. I mean, one final, I guess, question. This comes in from Michael Barr in Bloomberg Business of Sports. Is it your fault the Giants and the Jets are as bad as they are? What are you going to do? What are you going to initiate? This is a state embarrassment. First of all, they're the New York Jets, the New York Giants. You own them. God love you. That's great that they're in New Jersey. They are terrible. Do something. What are you going to do?
They're owned by great families and great organizations, but they're off to a really tough start. There's no other way to put it. And by the way, South Jersey roots for the Eagles. They're 0-2-1, so we got 0-8-1 with the 3 pro teams that people follow in our state.
The governor doing the math. Do the math in the taxes as well. He is the governor of New Jersey, Philip Murphy.